You are welcome to this edition of our online lecture series. Previously, we have been able to study different topics as it relates or as it matters to this course of study. A good understanding of all the things we have said will help you to be a good journalist and as well a good journalistic writer. Previously, we were able to look into the methods of news reporting. Now today we are talking about writing. We're now talking about writing today. So you can see the relationship. Today we are talking about the broadcast writing mechanics. Well, we have to start. Make sure you pay attention, and you can visit this site at the link often. Take it as your note so that you can visit this site often and listen and read the content. I think you will understand much more. This is a modern note for you. You can take it as your note. Often come and visit this site or the link. Go to the link you see all we have done this semester. They are there. As many as possible. If you cannot get all of them here, I can still give you other links. I think if you follow what we are doing, if you are following what we are doing very well and much with keen interest, I think you will be successful. After here, you'll be successful as a good journalist.
All right, we have to continue. Today we shall be talking about the broadcast writing mechanics. For one to be a good reporter, the person must have kept and observed ethics of the profession. He must abide by the dictates of journalism. The point here is that the reporter must understand the need of being factual. No matter how bright the reporter is, he should understand that writing with fact is a must. He should not represent a fictional writer. You know what I mean by fictional writer? Fictional writer is one who writes based on personal imagination. Therefore, as a reporter, you should not write based on your own imagination. The reporter should be an objective reporter so as to base his reports on factual events. If you can learn the following important journalistic style, you may see yourself efficient in news writing. Let me recap it so that you understand what I mean. I said, if you can learn the following important journalistic styles, you may see yourself efficient in news writing. One of them is checklist. Checklist. A checklist is a list of issues that a reporter uses to evaluate himself. A checklist is a list of issues that a reporter uses to evaluate himself. It is also to determine when a story is adequately covered. To this end, we have a checklist before a story is written. It is called a before checklist. This checklist would look like this. Do I have all the information I need? Have I covered all the angles? Interviewed everyone concerned? Have I answered all the questions? Questions that has to do with 5 W's and H. Am I clear in my mind what sort of information I want to convey? Do I fully understand my subject? Am I clear on how I want to report the story? The before checklist will help the reporter to satisfy himself that there is something to report. Then, the second checklist is called C-check. C-check. It helps to ensure that the story is complete, concise, correct, credible, and has color. The last checklist is the final evaluation called the E-test. The E-test. After writing, try to determine the final test of the copy. Thus, the story must be both informative and entertaining. Another area that is important is managing garbage. Knowing how to manage garbage. Garbage in broadcast news writing may include unnecessary words or phrases or sentences. I said garbage in broadcast news writing may include unnecessary words or phrases or sentences. The reporter should be experienced about such and be guided on their applications. The reporter should be experienced about such and be guided to their applications. The traditional sources of garbage for the report are as follows. Please. These are words or expressions that have been used for so long and frequently that almost everyone is tired of them. Although some people love to use click like in black and white, when of change, armed to teeth, long and short, handwritten on the wall. But The reporter should beware of them. They are boring, ancient, and unimaginative. You have to be vibrant and think new ways of saying things so you can give full information. Another thing that matters is jargon. Jargon is ubiquitous. Jargons are distorted language or excessively professional and technical languages. Every profession has its jargon, but the reporter should not use jargons because he cannot, for instance, report in the language of the economist for a non-economist. It does not make sense. However, it is allowed if the report is meant for a way of saying things for everyone to understand easily. Another thing is slang. Slang, yes. Slang is also like a jargon too. It is jargon on the other way around. They are unofficial words coined in the society and used by different categories of people. It is not easy to avoid slangs entirely because kings, thieves, commoners, touts, and so many others make use of slangs. The reporter is advised to use slangs sparingly and carefully. Another one is colloquialism. There are words permitted in spoken English, but not in written English. It is not also easy to avoid this, but if it helps to communicate more effectively, then slip occasionally. I said these are words permitted in spoken English, but not in written English. It is not also easy to avoid this, but if it helps to communicate more effectively, then let them slip occasionally. But remember that the colloquial expression may be understood by one section of the society and not the other. Therefore, you must consider who your audience is and where such expressions are rampant. Another one is Proverbs. Proverbs are wise sayings. Reporters should not waste their precious time and space repeating them in their stories unless they are going to enhance communication. Nevertheless, Proverbs are linguistic delight. They are not garbage per se, but they should be avoided because of the problem or problems they may create in a report, directing a different meaning to a view. Say things how they are and do not subject the listeners and viewers to further thinking. I said again, say things how they are and do not subject the listeners and viewers to further thinking. Also, we must take this as important as well. Foreign words and phrases. We should move faster away from foreign expressions. we should avoid dead languages because we will lose nothing by saying such things in English language. Yes, we'll miss nothing. Well, next one is punctuation marks. Punctuation marks. Anything can be abused when a reporter does not know where and when to apply them. The following are some tips on the use of punctuation marks and other language instruments. Quotation marks. Quotation marks are useful, but their overuse overdresses a story. They are used generally in the following instances: to indicate a direct quotation. For instance, "I cannot permit this," Obasanjo said. Alright, to indicate slang or ironic expression. Yes. Irony expression, yes. Iron Lady of Abia, our lady, flag at the first sign of trouble. Iron Lady of Abia. Another one, there is nickname. Nickname, words or phrases referred to in a sentence, misnomers, and titles of parts of major works are allowed to come in quotation marks. We have double and single quotation marks. Next, we must look into is the capitalization. Proper nouns begins with upper cases initials. Also come with capitals. Generally, capitalization is used in the first letter of every sentence. Title preceding personal names. Minister of State for Education. Abbreviation. And you see NOC, SDP, APCN. Well, that's by the way. Oh, let us check this, which is also important. The comma. The comma gives sentence a better or a breadth. The comma gives sentence a breadth. It is generally used for enumeration, separating clauses in sentence, and to set off parenthetical words and phrases. That is, expression whose elimination will not affect the sentence. It also set off title from their possessors. Dash or dashes are used to indicate break in thought. Dashes are usually used to indicate a break in thought and also clarify the meaning of a word or sentence. Next, yes, before we conclude, is these parentheses and brackets. Parentheses and brackets. These virtually serve the same purpose as dashes. Also note that the comma can serve the same purpose, but the choice among them is a matter of style. No description is made as to which a reporter must prefer. But be careful with dashes. They are not always good substitutes for comma. They are not always good substitute for comma. Our next is abbreviations. Abbreviations. Hyphens are used between letters in abbreviation, not full stop. Abbreviations should be those that are popular. Otherwise, skip them and write the full meaning of what they represent. However, some abbreviation can go with neither dots nor hyphens. I said it can go with neither dots nor hyphens because they are acronyms pronounced as names. Have good examples of that as NATO, FUTO, ABSEC, also COV Poly, and so many other ones. Names, titles, and initials do not begin a lead sentence with an unknown name unless it is preceded by an identifying phrase or short title. Familiar names like the president, governor, and so many other familiar names do not always need the first name or initials. Make it, for instance, President Jonathan, Governor Hope, Deputy Governor Ude Okachukwu. Professional titles like Doctor, Reverend, Professor, and others should be used on first instance and dropped subsequently. If you use a foreign or a difficult to pronounce name, add phonetics. Alright, attribute is another important factor to acknowledge. When writing for broadcast, remember that the ear is impatient. Therefore, it wants to hear the source of the story before tuning out. So, present the source before the information. It is better to say, former President Obasanjo says, God will punish those inviting him to ICPC. It was better to say that than saying, God will punish those inviting me to ICPC. That was what former President Jonathan says. So that's not all that correct. Well, let us go to time reference. Do not overuse the word today, since the audience assumes that something happened today. Occasionally, break it down. This morning, at midnight, this afternoon. This will make the news seem timelier. However, in case of events that had taken days, introduce them with unfolding events as it relates to the current time. Also, for international broadcasts, check whether your time is the same with that of your recipient. Remember, morning here may be evening another place. In such case, mention the location where the event is taking place. Avoid specific dates unless they are memorable. Say last Thursday instead of May 3rd. Say 3 months ago rather than February 3rd. Well, we are approaching to the end of this edition, but before we end it, we must check the last which are numbers. It is important in journalistic writing. Now, in broadcast style sheets, greatest importance is attached to numerals. Some stories, such as national budget, may have large figures and demand intelligent coverage. Also, stories with numerical information should be written in such a way that the caster can read easily, while the listener can readily comprehend and remember it. Thus, this can be facilitated by the following steps. Simplify complicated numbers by using terms such as approximately, more than, about, and almost. Spell out numbers under 12 and use numerals from 12 to 199. However, this rule differs from house to house. Some newsrooms may prefer that reporters spell out all numbers. It is believed this approach minimizes mistakes in copying numerals and leaves no doubt about what the number is. Use hyphenated combination of numerals and words to express thousands. Example is here: 35,000 farmers. Translate many figures, especially large ones, into round numbers. I said again, translate many figures, especially large ones, into round numbers. Spell out currency symbols. For instance, $80.30. Write out fractions as words and hyphenate them. Write out and hyphenate decimals. Before we conclude, let us check the age. Now, age are not essential in most cases. In accident or death or special situations where the age is needed, do not use the common newspaper style, of which they can say Uche Eze 15 was honored, because it is not conversational. Instead, write 20 years old Uche Eze was honored. For contents type of numerical information such as automobile license and telephone numbers, use hyphen to break the sequence into its component parts for easy reading. I said for contents type of numerical information such as automobile license and telephone numbers, use hyphen to break the sequence into its component parts for easy reading and read out. So that is it. I know you enjoyed the class. Make sure you are always joining the class. Make sure you are always part of this class. Thanks for listening. Have a nice time.